So today we have a creepy video to film for the sake of Halloween coming. I thought I'd film a follow-up video to a video I made 2 whole years ago of like some of my first paranormal experiences. I'm a firm believer in ghosts and a lot of different kinds of paranormal things. We're going to be talking about a lot of different stuff today. Most of these experiences are more recent experiences because I think I covered a lot of the ones that I went through as a child. And if you don't believe in ghosts, I'd suggest you you can watch the video, but if you're like enraged by the idea that, people think ghosts exist, this video might enrage you, so just don't watch it. Or even better, I'd pay you money to go spend a night in my grandma's house and then come out and tell me that you don't believe in ghosts. And this is my grandma's old house, actually. So if you didn't watch my last video, I'd highly recommend it. There's a really cute baby and really creepy children's music in the background because my toddler was watching some children's show. So let's start with probably one of the ones that was the most recent and sticks with me a lot to this day. So as you guys know, I'm a doula. If you don't know what a doula is somebody who is there emotionally for the laboring woman from beginning of labor till the end, and we offer massage and blah, 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 blah. She was planning on delivering at a hospital called Strasse in Munich, and this hospital is like crazy. When we first arrived there, I felt like the hospital didn't even look like a hospital. It has these like big stone walls. At the time when we arrived there, I was just like, wow, this place is so cool. And I did notice like some of the pictures on the wall were kind of old-fashioned and a little bit scary. And I was just like, wow, this hospital must have so much history. And I was so busy that I didn't really realize how creepy it actually was until I had a moment to myself. So I was with this mom for a very long time. She had a very long birth, and at about 24 hours in, I was like, well, I should really call my family and let them know, what we're gonna do. So I leave their private room and I turn left and I go down a staircase, and when I get down this like really creaky wooden staircase, I'm in what looks like is probably like one of the furthest rooms you can go in the hospital down, you know what I mean? And I am basically in a really big hallway, and ahead of me there is a big door that says radiology. So I'm like, oh, okay, this is where they do like x-rays and stuff. So I give my husband a call. I'm like, yeah, I don't think I'm gonna be home that soon. And then hang up the phone, and I realized like, yeah, this place is a little bit creepy because there was like nobody there. I just realized how deserted this area of the hospital was. But then I hear footsteps and I'm like, okay, maybe there's like a doctor or a nurse coming. I'm looking at all angles and there is nobody there, and the footsteps are coming from the direction where I saw the door where it said radiology. And sorry, just talking about it makes me so creeped out. But they're very slow, very loud, and they're getting closer to me. And so naturally, I just turn around, run the heck up those stairs as fast as I possibly can, and go back to my clients. So that's pretty much about as sinister as it gets. However, I did have to then leave this hospital when everything was over, and I was asking a lot of midwives because I kept getting lost. This place is like a maze. Like I couldn't find my way back to the entrance. They're like, it's a lot easier to go through the garden, but it was like pouring down rain. So I'm just like walking around this creepy, what seems like deserted hospital. Like once in a while you'll see a nurse or a midwife, but most of the time you just see pictures on the walls of like these old-fashioned nurses and midwives who look like nuns who are dressed in white. It's pretty terrifying. So eventually I decided to go through the rain, through the garden. So crazy experience. Next up on the very recent front, about a year ago we went to a place called Monte in Spain, in the South Point in Andalusia, and it's so beautiful there. We were looking for a great sunny getaway and we really got it. We ended up getting this really cute, very cozy little house which had 3 bedrooms, a fireplace, and our room was like a giant sunroom. Like it was all made out of windows and glass, and we had like a view to the forest. And now this forest was beautiful and it was like a fairy tale, but it had some very creepy bits to it, which we're gonna talk about right now. We actually decided to make a day trip one day, and I was reading this book, which I decided to show you guys right now. It is called Women Who Run with the Wolves. It's all about myths and stories of the wild woman archetype, and it's really good. I haven't read the whole thing, but I have read some of the stories in here. And one of the first ones, I believe it is the first one even, is a story about a Spanish woman called La Loba. And let me just read you a little bit. There is an old woman who lives in a hidden place that everyone knows in their souls, but few have ever seen. As in the fairy tales of Eastern Europe, she seems to wait for lost, wandering people and seekers to come to her place. The sole work of La Loba is collecting of bones. She collects and preserves especially that which is in danger of being lost to the world. Her cave is filled with bones of all manner, of desert creatures, the deer, rattlesnake, the crow, but her specialty is wolves. She creeps and crawls and sifts through the montañas, mountains, and dry riverbeds looking for wolf bones, and when she has assembled the entire skeleton, when the last bone is in place and the beautiful white sculpture of the creature is laid out before her, she sits by the fire and thinks about what song she will sing. And basically, she sings a song to reawaken the soul and set it free. Here's the last part that I think is really nice to read. So remember, if you wander the desert and it is near sundown, and you are perhaps a bit lost and certainly tired, that you are lucky, for La Loba may take a liking to you and show you something of the soul. And I had been going through a relatively rough time. That year I found a breast lump, and I was breastfeeding at the time, and it turned out to be a milk-filled cyst, which is different from a regular clogged milk duct. It basically doesn't go away, and it has a very weird structure, and there was a few months where we had no idea what exactly this thing could be, and my gynecologist reassured me she doesn't think it's anything dangerous, we just need to keep an eye on it. So I was sent for ultrasounds. And I think that I've always been very anxiety prone, but that seemed to have really stirred something in me where I started becoming physically attacked from my anxiety to a point where I got something, or I think I've always kind of had it, but it really broke out very badly for about half a year. And it just started around then. And basically it felt like I had ants running up and down my legs. It's called benign fasciculation syndrome. My muscles would twitch, not just like my eyelids, but just like everywhere, kind of uncontrollably. And the twitching made me so scared because they were like signs of more serious neurological disorders, like things like multiple sclerosis and, Parkinson's disease and all these really scary things. So the twitching scared me and caused more twitching. So it was like a big loop around. So I had been going through a really bad year. I was doing a lot of soul searching. I turned towards meditation. I turned towards yoga, and even some help from a counselor, because I suddenly just couldn't cope with what my mind was doing to my body and what my body was doing to my mind. And it was just very, very hard year for me. And I did turn to a lot of books, such as this. I was reading that story on the way home from a day trip from Portugal. And we get home kind of late that night, and I just go and sit in one of the big chairs close to the windows, and I have all of the windows open, and like the forest is like right all around me, basically, you could say. And I'm just sitting down and I'm reading some more of this book. It's a different story. And I start hearing singing in the forest, and it does sound indeed like a woman. And it sounds like she's walking, and it does sound like, at first it sounds like she's coming closer, and then it sounds like she's getting further away. And then I stop hearing it, and I'm like, okay, maybe somebody's taking their dog for a walk and singing a song. It's dead of night right now, it's like late, it's like 10 or 11 at night. So I was scared, like maybe I was hearing the singing and nobody else was. So I decided to go get my husband, and I was like, please tell me you hear the singing, because the singing started up again. It was quieter now. And he's like, oh yeah, I hear it. And I was just like, is that not a little bit creepy? I'm like, who's out there? Who's out there going for a walk in the forest? And I told my husband this story. I'm like, it's La Loba. She's out there. The next morning, and by the way, I had such a hard time getting up to go to the bathroom that night, and we shut all the curtains, of course, when we went to bed. But the next morning we went out for a walk in that forest. We may even have pictures of this. We saw bones scattered all along a certain part of our walk, and it was horse bones, because in this area there happens to be a lot of people who love horses. Like, it's like their passion, and some people even still use them as like the way of transportation around there. It's like the wild, wild west. So yeah, we all see the bones, we see the head, we see like absolutely everything. Luckily it was not assembled, because that would have been really creepy if it was all assembled. So since we're kind of at a topic of wolves, I will tell you my next story, which happened at another hard time of my life. It was about 1 or 2 months after Olivia was born. I can maybe even pop a little bit of footage in from that vlog, because I'm pretty sure I did upload it. I was going through a really hard time with Olivia. She was just a very hard newborn. I felt like I was a terrible, terrible mother. Breastfeeding was not going very well, and I did not ever get diagnosed with anything like postpartum depression, but I did get what I feel was a very severe case of baby blues with her, where with Leia, I got like hormonal, but I never got the baby blues. And my husband felt very defeated too. So I went out for a walk. It was like one of my first walks alone. I could basically only leave for about 30-minute periods of time. Probably even less than that, to be quite honest, because she was eating about every 20 to 30 minutes when we did get her to latch. So I just said I need to go out for a walk. Like, I was also feeling really upset. I think it may have even been 3 months postpartum at this point. I was also feeling really upset because I had been following some other YouTubers who had their babies, and I felt really fat and frumpy, and these other YouTuber moms were like, oh yeah, I already lost all the baby weight, and I was just feeling like really shit about myself. And I basically go to vlog about it. It was like a Fitness Friday vlog. And I was talking about how defeated I was feeling, and I think I was trying to make it somewhat motivational, but I don't think it was working. So I'm in the middle of filming this vlog, and then all of a sudden this dog just appears. I'm like sitting up on a hill and this dog just appears. I'm in a public park, but it's like a big dog. Like, it looks like a wolf, you know, like it's got blue eyes, and this dog is huge and it looks so rugged. And it's not ever looking at me. Like, I stand up because it scares me so much. I'm like, oh my god, this dog is huge. And I was like, is it possible for like wolves to like make it into the parks? Like, I'm pretty sure wolves are extinct in Germany for the most part. And so I like stand up and I'm like walking, and I'm making a bunch of noise because of my feet. Obviously I'm walking backwards, which was probably stupid. But like, the wolf hears me, it like, you know, moves, but it doesn't like ever find the direction of where I am. Like, it never looks directly at me. And I'm like thinking, oh my god, is this dog blind? So I do a loop around just to see if the wolf is still there, or the dog, you know, from a distance. And he's of course not, just disappears basically into thin air. I mean, I guess it could have walked away, but I didn't hear it walk away. It was very, very odd. So I decided to go home and look up animal spirits and animal totems, because I had heard and read some things about things like this in my past. So I decided to look up the symbolism of wolves, and wolves just so happen to symbolize family and packs. And I happen to be going through a very difficult time in my family life. I do believe to some extent that wolves may just be my overall totem, like my animal spirit. So I don't know if it was just there symbolically for the time of my life to just kind of maybe wake me up and just be like, just remember what's the most important thing right now is just sorting out your family life. That could be what the wolf was there for, is just a friendly reminder. But you know, it could also just be my overall animal totem. I don't know. So those were only 3 stories, but they were quite long. I have a few others, but maybe we can try to get another video up before Halloween's here or for Halloween. The sun came out, which is so great. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it kind of cool and different and entertaining. And give it a thumbs up if you did. And definitely read this book, Women Who Run with the Wolves. It's amazing. And I will see you guys very soon. Bye. So remember, if you wander the desert and it is near sundown, and you are perhaps a bit lost and certainly tired, that you are lucky, for La Loba may take a liking to you and show you something of the soul.